Welcome to Good God, conversations that matter about faith and public life. I'm your host, George Mason, and I'm delighted to welcome to the program my colleague and friend, the Reverend Eric Folkerth. Eric, welcome.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Eric is the senior minister of the Kessler Park United Methodist Church now, but he's been a pastor in the Dallas area for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
Right, and for a long time at North Haven United Methodist Church. So we've known each other both in terms of being pastors and working in churches, and also sort of being on the front lines of addressing matters of community importance, social justice issues and the like. And we find ourselves now, Eric, in a whirlwind of activity around immigration policy,
right,
and specifically about the work of ICE,
right,
the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, the Homeland Security people, and what we're seeing in terms of these detaining of immigrants and deporting them, and what's been taking place there. So we should maybe start by saying that you had the idea and have been leading an effort of our clergy and faith, interested faith laypersons as well, to hold a weekly prayer vigil at the ICE field office.
right.
And so tell us about how that got into you and how, and why you think this is important for us to do this.
Well, you, George, and I are both involved in this group that we're now calling CLEAR, Clergy League for Emergency Action and Response.
Yes.
And several of us, Faith Commons has been a big part of getting that going. And I think there's some 40 of us that are active from all over Dallas and the Dallas-Fort Worth region, I think it'd be fair to say. But as this administration at Kessler, it really did kind of start from Kessler Park in the fall. After the election, we asked ourselves, we have a social justice team, and we asked ourselves, what's going to be, there's probably going to be a lot of things come up, but what's going to be first, and what's going to be perhaps most urgent? And so our team kind of decided, with my conversation with them, that immigration would be our first issue that we would try to address.
Right.
So I had been thinking on it for some time, and then when CLEAR came into being, it seemed like having a clergy presence there would be a good idea.
Right, right.
And I just find, I think you would agree with this, that we have, for better or worse, we have the ability to enter into a situation and be a calming presence perhaps, when there is anxiety, not always, but a lot of times. And so it just seemed like that was a good idea.
Right, so we've been there since May.
Yeah, 1st of May, yeah.
And so it's been, 5 months now?
Yeah.
And describe to people what happens out there.
Absolutely.
What do we do?
Yeah.
And who's there and where are we and those sorts of things.
Yep. So we try to make sure we have some of our clergy there every week from various denominations, various faiths, Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, a variety of types. And we've been joined by a lot of lay folks. We gather at first to make sure everybody has, if they're first-timers, they understand what we're doing, kind of set the tone. And we offer a prayer at the beginning. And then we do spread out with some signs that often are about the issue of immigration, sometimes with some Bible verses. We have some signs that are in Spanish that are directed toward the migrants themselves.
Yes.
So this field office has been in the news quite a bit for anybody who's been watching this particular field office, because this is where a shooting took place just a week ago. But prior to it becoming infamous for that, it is the administrative offices for ICE for all of North Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth region right there. And so all of their administrative staff are there, all their attorneys' office there, it's our understanding. And it's a place where migrants themselves who are in the system go, and they are required to do regular check-ins.
Yes.
And for many years, this was not a big deal. This was not an abnormal process or weird or scary or anything. They would show up with their documents, and I hesitate to say it's like going to see a probation officer, because it's not like that, but it is a check-in with an official that
Right.
way.
Right.
And they take their documents and they try to understand what's going on. Well, almost immediately in the Trump administration, this became a moment of great anxiety for people. People were very afraid and unsure of what to do. And we now know, of course, that people are being detained in those check-ins.
Right.
People go in the building for their check-in and they don't come out.
And not everyone. Some
Not
do
everyone.
come out.
No.
And-
The majority still come out.
And
for
we
sure.
don't know why some don't come
That's
out
right.
and others, are let free. But nonetheless, so they detained them there, and
Yeah.
what we found out was initially they were actually being detained in very unsatisfactory conditions.
Right.
They were not prepared
Right.
for the number of people they were detaining.
100%.
And they were supposed to move them off to another facility.
That's right.
But they were there for several days.
Days
and,
into weeks, yes.
and more than, in fact, without heating or air conditioning in
Yeah.
rooms, without adequate food,
Correct.
without adequate sanitation, there were no beds, and these were very inhumane conditions,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
led us to contacting our congressional representatives
folks,
from the
yeah,
area,
yeah.
and 3 of them
Yeah.
wrote a letter to Homeland Security, and
They did.
And we know that had some effect, even though they didn't answer. They
did not.
changed policies.
Yeah, so ICE did issue a statement around that time saying, yes, there is a holding facility there, and yes, our policy is to hold people, I think they said 12 hours.
Right.
So by their own policy, they're supposed to process people there in a little holding cell and then move them somewhere that is more humane,
In
hopefully.
fact, the shooting took place when some people
Yes,
were being moved. So
out of the holding cells.
out of the holding into
That's right.
vans, and
That's right.
and that's when they
That's
were
right.
hit. And we now know that the shooter intended to target ICE agents.
That's right.
But in fact, 2 of those who were detained were killed in the process,
Yeah.
and 1 terribly injured.
Let me just say that it was at our vigils, at our George and I, our group Clear's vigil, that the world first found this out, because one of the affected persons, the wives of a gentleman who was being detained there, he had been there 4 days at the time we met her.
Right.
She just came up to us in tears
Right.
on that morning that we were there,
Yes.
and started telling us her story.
Right.
And it was absolutely eye-opening to us. Now, there are lots of atrocities going on right now. Lots of very concerning stories of how ICE is behaving. We can talk about that in a minute. But that was very shocking to us, because up to that moment, we had no idea anything was,
Right.
we didn't realize they weren't even following their own process.
I think it's important probably for people to understand the distinction between a prayer vigil
Yeah.
and a protest.
Absolutely.
And the truth is, there is some element of protest just by being there because of what we think is inhumane treatment of our neighbors.
Exactly.
And the fact that we think our government should not be functioning in this way. So the mere fact of our presence and the call to love our neighbors and to treat people with dignity and to follow the law, right,
Please.
is part of why we are there, as a kind of reminder to our community and to our government,
Right.
which is our government.
That's right.
Not somebody else's
No.
government. Our government, to function according to the highest standards of dignity and according to the law. So we're praying
Yeah.
while we're there, and we don't have any illusions of this transforming policy because we have this great, horde of people,
Right.
and we don't have a great strategy that we're going to export this all over the country, this sort of thing. But there's a kind of sense that people feel hopeless.
Yeah.
People feel powerless.
For sure.
And what we find is the people who are coming and joining us, and by the way, you are welcome to come and join us.
Anyone of goodwill.
Anyone of goodwill, precisely, who agrees with what we're doing. This is not a place for debate.
No.
This is a place for prayer and for advocacy for immigrants.
Right.
But if you come, what you're there to do is to feel that you have some voice,
That's
some
right.
agency, and some way to be a faithful presence in this time.
That's absolutely right. Vigil, our group had some real conversation about this, and this is where I think being a clergy person makes a difference. We understood, all of our group, implicitly, that we are doing this from our faith. This action is not coming because we are blessing a particular political view or social view or anything. We are there. I am personally there because of my faith, because my faith compels me. And my faith compels me to pray for and demand the just treatment for the vulnerable. And right now in our society, migrants are among the most vulnerable. I mean, that's kind of how you get to that place, and that's how you combine both the prayer and the demand for justice.
But how do you talk to people, Eric? I mean, this is part of our challenge, right? What you just said is that when you read the Bible, when you follow the Wesleyan way, as a Methodist, when you live the life of being a pastor and a minister, a follower of Jesus, this is not complicated.
No, it's not.
Welcome the stranger, care for the foreigner, treat them as if they belong to your own tribe.
It's clearly what the Bible says.
Over and over again. And yet, many of our siblings in Christ who call themselves followers of Jesus do not see that and support this policy. What do you make of that?
I think it's important for people listening to understand that for you and I, this puts us in a bind where we are talking to many different communities at the same time about our faith view. I feel like we are talking to other Christians and saying, you're getting this wrong.
Right.
Look at your Bible again. Listen to Jesus again.
Right.
Understand what Jesus says.
Right.
That's one conversation. There's a whole other conversation with many people beyond the church and, in fact, the migrant community themselves who are pretty distrustful of institutions and church. And so what I say to them is just what I just said. I mean, I really do try to lead with that. I try to lead with the fact that when people are standing up for social justice or social change, however you want to define that, people come at that from various starting points. There are people who have a particular cause, the environment or racial justice or women's rights or whatever, and often you're pulled into it from that. For me, it was a different path. That path came from my faith.
Yes.
That's the point I've tried to make for 30 years, and I still think it gets lost in here somewhere.
Right.
It is from my reading of the Bible, as some of the scriptures you just cited, and I'd love to talk about a couple others. It is from that I feel that call. I feel this is genuinely the call of Jesus. In fact, it is central to the whole gospel story, in my view.
Right. And I think we should also say that we are there as an interfaith group of clergy. And we have Jews holding up signs, that talk about the Hebrew Scriptures and about, resisting tyranny since the Pharaohs, all these sorts of things. We have Muslims doing the same from their tradition. This idea of welcoming the stranger and of treating people as people made in the image of God and as fellow human beings, this is not complicated. It's not unique to Christians.
It's not.
But what we find ourselves dealing with is people who are, I think, starting with the idea that they are Americans.
Correct.
Starting with the idea that their primary loyalty is to the nation.
Is national.
It's national, and the nation has the right to establish its own rules and its
100%.
own laws, and people who have broken those laws are sinning, in effect, and should be punished.
That's right.
And so automatically...
Whether they've actually broken the laws or not.
Well, exactly
we should quickly
right.
add.
and let's also stipulate that many of the people that are being deported right now have come, and yes, they've crossed the border, but it was entirely legal for them
100%.
to cross the border to ask for asylum.
That's right.
And then enter the system.
That is the way the system is set up.
To
Correct.
see whether asylum is warranted.
Exactly.
If it isn't, after due process, then they would be deported.
That's exactly right.
Perfectly fair.
Exactly right.
But the current administration has essentially eviscerated the asylum rules.
100%.
And everyone who has come has therefore come violating
Yes.
the border.
So to put a fine point on that, George, what you're describing here is a change in the rules
Yes.
that has recently happened.
Right.
Rules that stretch back decades.
Yes.
Not simply, not just a Democratic or Republican president,
Right.
but all United States presidents,
Yes.
all administrations, all ICE administrations, all functioned under the same
Yes.
rules.
Right.
We have recently changed those rules. And so what it meant was, it was a process where...
And we haven't, when you say we have changed those rules.
We, the country, we have owning that this is our government doing it on our behalf.
Yes, but there has not been
No,
actually
there was not a vote.
a change of immigration law.
No, there was not a vote to change the law.
That's exactly right.
The Congress has not changed the law.
Right.
There has not been immigration reform, let's
That's right.
say. And I do think, anyway, we can talk a lot about how we got to this point, but that is in fact what is happening now, and a point that we pastors have been trying to say to the public. If people are saying, well, you're aiding and abetting those who are breaking the law, my answer is no, we're not. We're in fact trying to support those who are trying to follow the rules.
Yes.
Let me give you an example of this that we saw this last Monday, this week. The office was supposed to be closed, ICE
Yes.
office, because of the shooting. So as you know, we canceled our regular vigil. We made an agreement that a few of us would show up anyway, just to kind of catch anybody that didn't get the word. And we thought there might be a few migrants that would also be there accidentally. I'm glad we went, because as it turns out, on Monday, there were hundreds of migrants who showed up. Now, the parking lot is closed, the building is closed. Again, I understand this. It's still a crime scene. There's a
Sure.
lot going on there. They probably even have, I don't even know if they fixed the windows. It's
Right.
horrible.
Right.
No one is denying that horror. But the parking lot was closed up, and these folks who were told, come Monday, we'll be open. They were told, come Monday, we'll be open Monday. Right. They all showed up. And so here we are in our clergy shirts showing up. We are the only people talking to them.
Right.
And we said, oh, I'm sorry, the office is closed. And
Right.
we showed them a news story, which again, it's fascinating to watch somebody kind of register that. It took a minute for them because they were told to be here.
Right.
In their mind, they said, the government told me to be here and I want to follow the rules. This is
Right.
where I'm going. So my point is that is an illustration. If people want to understand, these are people who are really desperately trying to follow the rules that our country has set out for them.
Right.
And at every turn right now, we are making it more difficult. And not only are we making it difficult, but parts of our government are acting with genuine cruelty.
Yes. And what we are finding is that people who are coming for their check-ins are genuinely afraid.
Genuinely afraid.
There is a widespread fear and anxiety. What we know is happening in this country is people are not showing up for work.
Right.
Kids are not showing up for school.
Right.
They're living in the shadows. They're not showing up for church.
Right.
Because even church has become open season.
That's right.
For ICE agents.
And to understand that some of these people you're talking about, George, are green card holders or citizens.
Yes.
You're still not only talking about migrants.
Right.
You're talking about a general fear that is in the public because we now have documented proof that ICE has rounded up citizens. ICE has rounded up people who are United States citizens who scream out at the time of their detention, I am a citizen, and apparently that doesn't matter.
And the Supreme Court has ruled that government agents are permitted to profile people.
That's correct.
And in doing so,
I wish that was not correct, but it is.
The assumption is, according to Justice Kavanaugh, that they can just then verify whether they have made the right decision or the wrong decision and release them right away. And that's not what happens.
That's not happening, no.
And so...
It's a fantasy to imagine if anybody believes that's what's happening, that's not what's happening.
So when we were there, we're also praying for ICE agents.
Absolutely. I want to be sure we say this from the very beginning, from the very first time we were there, and every time we've been there, we have prayed for ICE.
Yes.
And we prayed for two things. We have prayed for the safety of public servants, and we have prayed that ICE act with justice on our behalf.
Yes.
Justice and compassion.
Right.
We prayed for both of those things. Those are not inconsistent either.
Right.
And I want to say a little aside word about this because right now it does feel in the culture there's this very strong, everything is binary right now. You're either for us or against us. You're here or you're there. And I think that's a false binary.
Right.
I have long believed that. My wife, as you know, is a justice on the Court of Appeals here in the state of Texas.
Right.
That's the appellate level court in the
state
that mirrors the circuit court. Anyway,
it's
a mirror to the federal system.
That's right.
It's one step below the Supreme Court in Texas. She was a bench judge for many years, and so I have personally seen her be threatened with a litigant with a gun trying to get to her court. That actually happened to us.
Right.
I have seen stalkers who came to our house and threatened my wife, threatened me, threatened our daughter.
Right.
So I am incredibly empathetic for how hard it is to be a public official in the legislature, in the courts, to be a dog catcher, to be a police officer, take your pick.
Right.
Public service is very hard right now.
Yes.
So a part of why I wanted us to pray for public services was precisely that. I understand they have a hard job. At the same time, I think they have a duty to act justly and with compassion. And I have a question for them about what are they doing to harm their own souls.
Right.
To me, what is going on in our country right now is that the tactics that we have often used on foreign adversaries in a foreign country are now being used in the United States of America.
Right.
And if you remember, I was a kid, but in the Vietnam era, there was a lot of debate about people were very angry at the soldiers who were just following their orders.
Right.
We also saw a tremendous number of soldiers come back wounded mentally, spiritually, emotionally, not even their physical bodies, mentally, spiritual, and emotionally for the rest of their lives. I am 100% confident that that is happening to some ICE agents right now.
We call this moral injury.
Yes, thank you. Speak to that.
What happens is you have a sense of morality and standards.
Yes.
But you are put in a position where to do your job and to follow orders and to take care of your family and to feel like you are being patriotic, you are doing things that contradict your moral code.
Right.
And in doing so, you have to make all sorts of compromises about that. But when you do, it erodes that sense of your own integrity.
Right.
And you carry that with you. And you have to defend it in certain ways that you don't even want to.
Right.
And so this is not the kind of position we want to put people in.
And we certainly don't want to put law enforcement in it.
Precisely.
This is the hardest piece.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
because it does kind of force them into a us or them.
Right.
I'm going to defend the job I'm doing, and
Right. And I think we should really say very clearly that the language of criminals, rapists, all these sorts of things, vermin, this is not applicable to all migrants who
No,
have come to this country.
not.
But it is being used to cover them all as a reason to go after more than the criminals.
Absolutely.
And if this whole effort were only to find the criminals,
That's right.
people who had acted violently in this country, who were part of drug cartels, who were part of any of that, no one would be out. You and I would
can't
not be out
imagine
there.
anyone would be
No.
opposed.
But when people protest this, and then the language comes back that we just want to let all these criminals
Right.
loose.
No.
That's not what's happening.
It's a lie.
It is.
I mean, the only thing I can say about it is that's a lie.
Right.
That is not only not the intention, it's literally not what we're trying to do.
Right. So a lot of what's happening, Eric, in all of this is not only fear that's taking place among the migrant community, but it's also being motivated by a fear.
For sure.
A fear of a loss of some sort of social capital that happens when so many more people are around, the loss of an imagination of a society that no longer exists, and an inability to adapt to a new society.
For sure.
So we have a lot of fear. But as we close, and you and I could talk about this for hours and
Yeah.
hours, as we close, I want to look at your forearm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you have a reminder to yourself about this.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about your tattoo.
Well, this is from the Gospel of Luke. In the Christmas story, the angel said unto them, "Fear not, me phobosheth." It reads this way in the Greek, and I am convinced that this is a primary message of the gospel, over and over.
Yes.
That we are called as people of faith to not be afraid. It doesn't mean we won't have a fear reaction, but what our faith is supposed to do is help us deal with that fear reaction.
Exactly.
We are human beings,
Right.
and we all have the innate sense. And so I do think that a fear of the other is a part of what's going on here, George, as you said. And there's a deep otherizing that's going on in the culture that is not helpful. We live in a very racially diverse society, where really almost wherever you are now. And in Oak Cliff, where I'm a pastor, we are absolutely black, white, Latino, Latina, and trying to all live together as neighbors.
Right.
And so these policies, what they do is they drive a wedge into the culture.
Yes.
In a way that seeks to divide us and turn us on each other. And I'm afraid among some people it is working. And so that's why I think that's where our faith can come in. Our faith can come in to we can tell ourselves, we can tell the world, don't be afraid. Let's hear that message Jesus said over and over, to welcome the stranger and the foreigner. Jesus said it, not just the Old Testament.
Right.
His very first sermon in Luke chapter 4. He's preaching to it. You were talking about the people who were wanting the past, and so Jesus goes to his hometown, very first sermon, reads from the book of Isaiah. You and I know this passage. I think that's his mission statement that he reads out.
Right.
Everybody's happy. They all applaud. Oh, this is good.
Right.
More of the old way. Then he says, now remember, when the prophets, Elijah and Elisha, were sent, they didn't come to Israel. They went to a woman in Sidon. They went to Naaman the Syrian.
Right.
And what happens?
Right.
The crowd turns on him in a second.
Right.
And it says they try to throw him off the cliff.
Right.
So I think that's a powerful story for our time, because it reminds us that Jesus, from the very beginning of his ministry, the very first sermon he ever gave, is trying to preach this demolishing a sense of there being an other, that
Yes.
we are all human. We must have laws, absolutely have to have laws, but we must see each other with humanity, and we got to do that.
The story you tell about Jesus and the outsiders and how that he was turned on because of that, this is also a word that we would like to say to our fellow clergy.
100%.
We know it's hard.
Yeah.
We understand that the pews are purple.
Yes.
That there are people of all political positions
Yes.
out there. But the duty that we have is to follow
To the gospel.
this truth about the one who gave us our call.
Yes.
And so be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Be not afraid. Come and join us. Speak up. Leave it to God to sort all of this out, but it's up to us at least to speak and to invite others to join in this good work of trying to treat people with full dignity as children of God. We thank you, Eric, for joining us on Good God.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for all your leadership in the community
Back at you.
And at the church, and for your friendship as well. And to all of you, thank you for listening. Until next time, keep the faith.